am at the historic Africa Mall, one of Addis Ababa's landmarks, which was inaugurated in 1961 by His Excellency the Emperor Haile Selassie. Hello and welcome to another episode of Focus On. I'm Tabitha Muthoni, and today we are coming to you from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, where the Africa Business Forum is currently taking place under the theme Potential to Prosperity, Activating Africa's Regional Value Chains. And there were key takeaways from this theme. And these are some of the people that I spoke to. So the UAE has been a key partner when it comes to Africa's investment. So in terms of the regional or value chains or integrating regional value chains, what are some of the sectors or industries that the UAE is prioritizing for investment in Africa's regional value chains?
I think the common one or the obvious one is energy. I think we have very mature companies, whether it's Masdar, whether it's Emia Power, or other players. They have maturity, they have knowledge, they've been investing all over the world, and they have also ability to perform even in Africa. And I think this is a clear sector. Ports, I think also we have two or three major port operators. And now I think I don't know the exact number, but I think above 20 ports in Africa is managed by these two organizations. Agriculture, mining. So I think these are the main sectors that our guys are catering to, but I think also evolving to e-commerce, trading, evolving also to trade finance, etc.
And with Africa's growing interest in industrialization and also infrastructure development in Africa, how is the UAE looking at facilitating Emirati businesses to form long-term partnerships with African investors or enterprises?
The government will give you a certain limit, or they will not give you an investment. They will give you direction. They will give you UAE government give you the right tools. But in the end of the day, it's up to each organization, part of their industry, part of their plan. And I think the potential is in Africa. With due respect, Africa give you good opportunity for these companies to invest, and also good return on investment on these projects.
Given the increasing focus on South-South partnerships or cooperation, what new trade initiatives or agreements or financing mechanisms do we have in place?
I think UAE have been very active in signing CEBA agreements. So we signed with Kenya recently, as you are aware. We signed with Mauritius, we signed with different countries. And also part of me being here, we had good discussion with a few blocks within Africa. So hopefully we can help Africa as much as we help ourselves to build that partnership and trade facilitation for both Africa and UAE. His Excellency President Ruto was in UAE with our President Sheikh Mohammed, and it was signed the detail of the agreement. It's a free trade agreement between both countries to help flow of goods from Kenya to UAE and from UAE to Kenya.
As Africa looks to position itself as a global manufacturing and logistics hub, what lessons can African economies learn from UAE's rapid economic transformation? And also, how can the UAE support Africa's development goals under the African Continental Free Trade Area?
Today we're having a discussion with UNECA. I think everybody wants to have industry and everybody wants to be industrials. What I say to people, first have a proper analysis and have an investment map of the opportunity. People think a foreign investor will come. The problem when we come to Africa, we struggle. Why? Because one, there is no one-stop shop. You have to go from one ministry to another. So I recommend having one-stop shop. Second, the availability of information. It need to be even availability of land. There is certain parcel ready for chemical. There is certain parcel ready. This will help a lot of organization to, rather than they take a lot of time, it's fast, quick for them to look at investment. And then based on that, also you need to cater to your people, your local industry. Why? A foreign company, they will not come from day one and they open a factory. They go office, small warehouse, etc. But local industry, if they get the right support, I think they will grow, and they are the base for African industry, in my opinion. Build local and work with international company to come in as well.
It's so important to be part of this conversation because our work at the U.S. Africa Business Center, which is part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, is really about raising the profile of the opportunities to do business in Africa for U.S. companies who maybe haven't considered it before. We have a network of 2,000 local and state chambers across the United States and 130 chambers of commerce around the world. They're all focused on how to drive business. And so we feel a responsibility as champions for a closer trade and investment partnership to bring delegations to the continent, to be involved so that executives and investors can see the opportunities to do business here and to be part of developing out the regional value chains. We have work in agriculture, in digital economy, in health, and a variety of sectors, investment, where raising that awareness and helping to crowd in investors is key to the work that we're doing.
Indeed, great insights are there. And beyond AGOA, I am keen on understanding some of the new strategies maybe the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is advocating to enhance long-term U.S. trade and investment in Africa. And at the same time, looking at sectors like maybe manufacturing, energy, and even technology. Technology is very big. We have AI evolution taking place and also having maybe direct impacts, although not on a large scale, in African markets.
Well, I don't want to go past AGOA. I'd just like to say that AGOA is set to expire on September 30th, 2025, and we call for its reauthorization. Since 2000, it's been the cornerstone, as the U.S. government describes it, the cornerstone of the economic relationship between the U.S. and the nations of Africa. It would be foolish to get rid of that cornerstone, but we should really build on it, and it should be a stepping stone to something greater. And so our work not only calls for AGOA to be a foundation, but really to move beyond that, to really move towards building those strong partnerships so that the relationship is two-way. Anytime that there is trade, there is investment, and those two flows work together. So we have been part of working with companies in energy, working in technology. You mentioned AI. We're just past the Global AI Summit in Paris, where there was a focus on Africa and a series of important side events. We'll be in Kigali for the Global AI in Africa discussion, because Africa is at the forefront, not just of setting those trends, but having a voice in what the future looks like, which is so critical given that Africa is the market of today, but the drivers of the future.
And also access to financing, something that we cannot not talk about. It's a key conversation on the table. So it is still a key challenge for African businesses, looking to scale. So how can U.S. investors and financial institutions collaborate with African enterprises to unlock greater capital flows into priority sectors? And as we look at these priority sectors and financing, we also have the USAID funding freeze, to reliant companies or to reliant African countries. So maybe your take on that as well.
Sure. Well, I think the question that you mentioned around financing being a critical component to any trade and investment on the continent is so key. Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala mentioned that between $180 to $220 billion is needed annually to fill the infrastructure gap. That's a tremendous, number. And so we work closely with our companies who are in the sector to give them greater information and opportunities to understand how they can be part of the different facilities that are available. Certainly at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, we're very focused on how we can help drive business into the relationship. We certainly support our government's efforts to support that and look forward to seeing how that can continue under this administration so that it can be supportive of the economic and business aims that we know are important in how we build our connections with the continent.
And in regards to USAID funding freeze for Africa, what's your take on that?
Well, I think it's challenging, quite frankly, because USAID has been an agency that has supported a lot of the work, not just that we've done with the U.S. Africa Business Center, but there's a very large reflection of how the United States has been a strong partner to the continent that USAID has been at the forefront of. And so I'm excited to know that it is a freeze and it is not permanent. And we look forward to being able to work to see that the areas that we rely on that strengthen electrification and power across the continent, the work that Prosper Africa has done to help support companies and engaging and finding partners, that all of those things will continue.
And I would say partnerships over aid reliance for African countries and also maybe other beneficiaries. But at the same time, Africa is pushing for industrialization and also digital transformation. So what role do you think maybe US companies and even institutions can play when it comes to supporting skills development and also technology transfer? You've talked a little bit about AI adoption and also maybe innovation across the continent. Yeah.
That's a lot of themes. So let me say this.
Let's narrow it down. Yes.
I will give you a few thoughts about that. First, what I've heard, here as part of this Africa Business Forum is really the strong sentiment that Africa has everything that it needs to advance in the Agenda 2063, in the industrialization efforts that it wants to undertake. And to me, that there is a roadmap for that. And this is the decade of acceleration. It gives me the capacity to share that with companies who are considering how they can be part of that growth story. And so I think it's important for us to use the work that Africa has done to be able to advance that. Now, in terms of innovation, I think that there's so much innovation that's coming from the continent. We work with partners all across Africa where, young people in particular are digitally savvy. They're driving innovation and helping to set a course for what's possible. And so through our U.S. Africa Business Center, we've had a digital innovation startup competition where we've supported that. But I think there's more that our members, look forward to doing as the AFCFTA continues to be implemented. And it gives opportunities for us to support not just implementation for the continent, but how investors can be part of that growth story.
Agro-industrial value chains, the pharmaceutical value chains, financing, and even the private sector players and industrialization aspect were some of the key takeaways at the Africa Business Forum. From me, Tabitha Muthoni, it's a wrap on this episode of Focus On.